thank you for joining Wars of the Rosies. As we continue with part 2, Ritualistic Occultism, from the Order of Magi, Priests and Princes of Melchizadek, by R. Swinburne Clymer. Ritualistic Occultism. There is a force, element or principle, in the universe, which is the life of all things. This principle we have called the life principle. It is to be carefully distinguished from that which the mystic calls the soul. For the soul and the life principle are by no means the same thing. This active principle pervades all things: man, the animal, the trees, the flowers, in fact, all that live. The neophyte who seeks to work in white magic, that is, in ritualistic occultism, takes great pains to obtain as much of this principle as he possibly can, for the more he stores up in his body, the greater is his activity. This force or energy is termed electricity in the sun and in the air, magnetism in the earth, galvanism in the metals. It is life of plants, animals, and man. For this life principle in the air, the magus, separates the highest force known to man or the masters. This is the F, fire, and belongs peculiarly to the soul. The separation is not possible except through a comprehension of the law and also through conscious, deliberate effort. The power of the ritualistic occultist. The power of the ritualistic occultist is sexed. The positive will and positive power, so necessary for the purpose of accomplishment in white magic, are masculine. The receiving attribute, that is, the ability to receive wisdom, understanding, and love, is of the feminine nature. Thus in the great work, man, the operator, uses both the masculine and the feminine principles, the two in unity, though he himself remains positive, male, part of the Lord of creation. Man, the term man, embraces both man and woman. Being of the highest form of existence known, has it within his province to control all forms of existence lower than himself. He may also subjugate the occult forces in nature to his will and compel them to do his bidding. To be able to do this, he must develop the latent, though almost infinite powers within himself. This he may do through a regular form, just as the pugilist, through a systematic series of training, may become powerful in his strength and quick of action. However, the training of the occultist is not so much physical as it is first mental, then spiritual, and finally cellular. There are 4 varying conditions of the manifest effects of vibratory laws, just as there are 4 actual corners in man's being. These are the magnet, the electric, the etheric, and the ethos. They correspond to the 4 elements or essences: earth, water, air, and fire. The electric current is the lowest form of vibration that we can sense. It operates close to the dividing line between the physical and the spiritual. It separates the gross, inert material from the higher essences and refines crude material with which it comes in contact, just as the air that we inhale, through the control of thought and desire, may be changed or transmuted into positive life and eth forces. Above the electric current, or in superior conjunction with it, in the sense that the finer vibrations give finer tunes, is the magnetic current. Still higher is the etheric vibration, which represents primary thought force, moving constantly by its own innate volition, until man becomes master and directs thought according to his will and desire. Above all is the ethic energy. This is a vibration of life and power that can be used only by him who has become the master, and who draws the magnetic and the electric forces to himself, and through the etheric forces, transmute the gross vibrations into one great force, power, or energy. White magic. White magic, which spiritually means deific relationship or angelic ministry, is the application of the great force above mentioned to things existing in the visible universe. The great work. In the great work, the angels, hierarchies, or invisible beings are invoked, that there may be no misconception in regard to the foundation for this belief, nor any question as to whether the Lord God Jehovah admits this practice to man. Guru Rakadazan devoted a special chapter to this subject, basing his teaching on the Bible, both the New and the Old Testament. No better authority, insofar as the Christian is concerned, could be found for the making of magical or holy water, oil, or ointment to be used in the relief of suffering, or for any other purpose whatsoever. Full and clear instructions are given. These are based on the most ancient and most sacred records of the Magi. It must, however, be clearly understood that the greater the development, the more exalted the aspirant and the more sincere the faith of the operator, or the ritualistic occultist, the more powerful will be the magical agents produced. Desire. Desire is the mainspring of life. If desire ceases, death appears. Whether this be the death of the body or of a cherished ambition matters not. It is stagnation of the natural and divine forces in man. Without the desire to create and the power to imagine, nothing can be accomplished by the ritualistic occultist. Desire is the pioneer that blazes the way for him. It is the great love force that draws him onward and upward until the object of his aspiration is achieved. The emotion acts directly upon the physical, for if a great love be ours, it manifests itself through every avenue of the body. It is indicated by the brightness of the eyes, the vibrations of the voice, the erectness of the head, the fullness of life in the carriage, and in many other aspects of the physical being. The strength of the emotion, in turn, depends on the intensity of the vibrations emanating from the soul. The ritualist occultist will use his power only in the accomplishment of a desire that is intense and in an undertaking that could not be accomplished by mere physical means. The relief of one who is ill is an instance in which this power may be employed to great advantage. Partial list of contents. The breath. Instructions for the first week, for the second week, including sacred mantram. For the third week, including sacred mantram. For the fourth week, including sacred mantram. The special short breath. The center. There is a center of stored up energy in the body, through which man is placed in immediate relation with higher vibratory forces, or that which we term the hierarchic plane. Nothing can be written relative to this. The student must be instructed and through obedience to instructions himself find the center. The latent force in the center exists more or less in every human being and, by the ancient Hindus, was termed the ohas. It is connected with the brain by two small nerve tracts. This explains how the breathing and the sacred mantras will arouse the ohas and draw it up. One of these nerves is situated at the left of the spinal column and is called Ida. The other is on the right side and is called the pingwood. By practicing the breathing drills and the sacred mantrams, as taught in Ritualistic Occultism, the vibrations will arouse and force the ohas to travel to the Ida and the pingwood. The regular drill and the sacred mantram, the morning drill and the sacred mantram, the second drill and the sacred mantram, the electric drill for harmonizing with the hierarchic center, the sacred mantram and the law, second movement for this drill, third movement of this drill, the second part of the harmonizing drill, noon drill breath and mantram, second part of the noon drill for purification and the sacred mantram, evening breath, called the concentration or breath of wisdom, the sacred mantram belonging to it, night breath, the breath of freedom and the sacred mantram, drill for overcoming of fear and the sacred mantram, wheel training drill, methods of practice, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, exercise 4, mental control, exercise 1, exercise 2, exercise 3, exercise 4, and 5. The hierarchies. All true white magic, that is to say, all true ritualistic occultism, is found on the doctrine that there are angels or, as the initiate terms them, hierarchies, who inhabit the spheres or etheric spaces, and who are ever ready to respond to man's appeal when he is in the right and working for a noble purpose. Instances: Moses, the angel and the burning bush; Elijah, the angel, food and drink; Daniel and his invocation; Peter in prison and the angels. God speaks with Jacob. God appears to Moses. God again speaks to Moses. Magical or holy water. It is believed by the profane the holy water is such because the priest prays over it. The initiate, however, understands that holy water becomes such when the priest or magus, through powerful sacred mantras, draws to his aid the hierarchies of the invisible plane and, through his and their forces combined, changes the water with the eth or soul fire. Ritualistic occultism gives complete, detailed instructions including all mantrams for changing the various substances. The power of magnetic substances. Hermes, the thrice-wise philosopher, taught, "As things are below, so are they above." Consequently, whatever the enlightened man does on the material plane finds its counterpart on the spiritual plane. Any substance which has been prepared with the soul's yearning that it shall be placed in touch or in harmony with the hierarchies in the invisible has the desired effect, for that which the magus does on the lower plane is analogous to that which takes place at the same time on the higher plane. Ritualistic occultism gives all the laws, instructions, and sacred mantrams for this work. Sacred invocations. The training for the great work. Full instructions given. The holy invocation. Invocation and mantram for protection. Invocation and the making of talisman. Invocation as a blessing of the work. The sacred mantram for making of talisman. Invocation against the influence of enemies. The sacred mantram for making of talisman. Invocation for wisdom. The sacred mantram for the making of talisman. Second invocation for wisdom. Invocation for the gift of prophecy. The sacred mantram for the making of talisman. Invocation for health. Sacred mantram for the making of talisman. Invocation for the relief of suffering. Sacred mantram for the making of talisman. Invocation for assistance. The sacred mantram for the making of talisman. Invocation for the cure of obsession. The sacred mantram for the making of talisman. The 12 signs of heaven. What man may obtain through them. Aries, Taurus, Gemini, Cancer, Leo, Virgo, Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces. Invocation to the angels of the 12 signs are as follows. The names of the angels, their office, signs, and signatures. How these were obtained. The Magi teach today, as anciently, that the names of the angels and their offices were obtained first by direct revelation from God to the ancient patriarchs, second by vision, third by the mystical reading of the heavenly configurations, fourth by kabbalistic interpretation of the Bible. Kabbalistic magic, the method of white magic through the potency of the Psalms and sacred invocation. It has been claimed by all the kabbalistic masters, and there have been many and admittedly holy ones, that man may, by living in harmony with the divine laws and by the use of the Psalms and divine mantrams, secure all that he requires. That is undoubtedly true, hardly can be contradicted successfully. Hence, to do so would be to deny the sacred scriptures and all that is taught therein, including, as well, all that the Gospels contain. Psalm 2 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 3 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 4 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 5 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 6 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 7 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 8 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 9 and the sacred invocation. Psalm 11 and the sacred invocation, etc., etc. Personal magnetism. The road to health and success. Before the publication of Ritualistic Occultism, these instructions were listed in the lesson form and the enrollment fee was never less than $25. With the publication of the textbook, the instructions in the form in which they appeared at that time were discontinued, but were included in the book. The art of magic is the art of employing invisible or so-called spiritual agencies to obtain visible results. Hartman. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment. And if you can, please consider donating to Wars of the Rosies. Links to PayPal and Patreon are in the description. Thank you so very much.